UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. I am your intrepid host, Elliot Marzulli. We are at the Property Watchers Conference in Colorado, and we are making hay. We're interviewing as many people as we possibly can. Karin Wilkinson was the tentpole in our fourth film on abductions. We published her book, Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. Karin joins us, and we'll get into this, but first, a word from our very trusted sponsor. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time. Folks, that's gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With the Gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. Folks, we did this a couple of years ago. I got to tell you, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind, but so far we've made out really well. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments' streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Folks, vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Folks, go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind, but I did it, my wife and I did it, and we are absolutely glad we did. Once again, noblegoldinvestments.com. Karin, thanks so much for joining us. And you and I first met years ago in Dallas, Texas, and there was correspondence with email, and I said, well, hey, we'll be in Dallas at the Watchman Conference. Why don't you come down and give us your testimony? And I remember we had a 2-camera shoot. John Adam, who does all the editing, by the way, for our YouTube channel, was there running one of the cameras, and I just sat there with my jaw on the ground. I've interviewed abductees before. You're not the first one. But there was something very emotive about your testimony. It was visceral. It was visceral. It was gut-wrenching. And when you left the room, I just looked at John and just said, I don't even believe it. And then from that became this friendship. And, we all got together with Gil Zimmerman and myself. We co-directed and co-produced the abduction film, and the rest is history. And then you approached me with Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. So this book hails back of Genesis 3:15. You've lived it. You were there. There is a physicality to the phenomena. It goes back into Daniel 2:43 where the seed is taken. It goes further back to Genesis 3:15. You were, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but you were driven to write this book. Tell us about that part of it.
Yes, I was. It was something that God really put on my heart and my spirit and pushed me and led me to do. I couldn't sleep until I had this book done. I think I wrote it in 3 months. And I hadn't seen anything else out there about UFOs, aliens, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, written with a biblical lens, from a biblical perspective, that really talked about who and what they were, not just from other people's experiences and other people they've talked to, but from someone who'd actually experienced it, from someone who's been through it, from someone who had looked them in the eye, someone who called on Jesus and was able to get away from these monsters, and someone who had been through the terrors and the trauma that I had been through. When you mentioned when we first met, I had never shared that story with anyone, and I never expected to, but God called on my heart to meet with you and share that story, and I had no idea where it would go. I did not know what God was going to do with it at that time, and it was extremely emotional to share that.
It was visceral, it was emotional. When you started talking about the children, and this is in the film, by the way, but you also talk about in the book, how, and I get it, look, this stuff is not for the faint of heart. This is the deep end of the pool. I mean, it really is. It's the deep end of the pool. You were taken at a very early age, 5 or 6. Now, I've talked to other abductees, and you're just a little girl. You're not prepared to deal with what you're dealing with. No. And you're going through the window, going through the ceiling. Tell us about that, what that's like.
Right. As a small child, to be abducted from your home at 4, 5, 6 years old, from the one place that you think is safe and secure, your home, your bedroom, your bed, and then to be taken against your will, and nobody calls the police, nobody sends you to counseling. There's no restitution for what happens to you. You have to learn to deal with it on your own because there's no one to talk to. And then I was threatened that I couldn't talk to anyone
Right.
after I had been trying to speak about it. Parents and counselors and teachers think that you're having bad dreams,
Right.
think that maybe you're talking about something else.
She has an
maybe-
active imagination.
Exactly.
Right.
And so you're at a loss for where to go and who to talk to, and it becomes emotionally crippling to a young child who has nowhere to go. And you are helpless.
In the beginning of the abduction film, there's a little, I can use the word soliloquy, whatever, but it's just a little introduction. And one of the lines in that introduction is, you know, these people are alone, they're violated, they're damaged, they're injured, and where do they go, and who would believe them? And this is why your book is so important. And since we published it, and you've been on numerous podcasts, and by the way, folks, if you're a podcaster watching this, Karin's a great interview. You know, we're only doing 15, 20 minutes here, but it's the depth of the interviews are incredible. People call you up, they email you with their stories. Tell us what that's like.
You know, it's incredible. This is what I did not expect was going to happen when I shared this story. I was terrified. I expected a great deal of criticism. And, you know, I'm not worried if someone believes me or not. That's not what I'm doing here. I am here to try to share the truth and to keep people from being deceived about who and what these things are. But what I didn't expect was the number of people that would come forward to talk to me about what they had been through, to share their experiences, not because they want that experience out there for anyone else to hear, but because they no longer feel alone, and they wanted to share that they got some sense of peace and some sense of community by knowing this had happened to me as well, and that now they had some answers, and they felt like they weren't alone anymore.
Right.
And it just gave them peace, and I had no idea that was going to happen. And just to be able to talk with people and share with people has been the best part of this whole experience.
And one thing I want to talk about quickly is the physicality of it. There are well-meaning people, well-meaning Christians. We're not here to disparage anyone. But for those who say that there's no physicality to it, that the abduction phenomenon isn't real, it's all demonic delusion, this is what's so important about your testimony about our fourth film, where we sit down with 2 men and 2 women. You're the tent pole, as my business partner Gil Zimmerman likes to call you, but you are. The tent is around you. Al Matthews and Emil Jura come in, and of course Angela comes in. All have been taken, all have been abducted. Emil had the implant. We're the only Christian team on the planet that's ever taken out an implant from someone who was taken and abducted. And I'll never forget when I was interviewing Emil, and it's in the film, you know, they put locks on my doors and windows, and they find me out in the lawn the next morning. He looks at the camera and he goes, "Explain that to me." Just like that. I mean, it's like, whoa. He's been through it. Al's been through it. Angela's been through it. So what would you say to someone, here's the question, that there's no physicality to this, that it's all in your mind, it's all demonic delusion, you know, you really weren't taken, it's just this whole, what would you say to that?
To someone who says there's no physicality to this, that it's just demonic delusion, I would say that is your opinion, but your opinion alone.
Exactly.
Because that means you haven't spoken with people who've actually had this happen. Because what's happened to us is real and it's physical. And it's not just us that have experienced it. Other people have seen the physical results of our abductions.
That's right.
Other people have experienced those when we end up outside, when we end up in another room, when we lose a pregnancy, when we have burn marks on our bodies or foreign objects removed from our bodies. Those are physical reminders, the physical signs of what's happened to us. So with all due respect, no, that's not true. There is some extremely real physicality to this, what's
And
going
everything
on.
hails back to Genesis 3:15, and then jump forward to Daniel 2:43, where their seed will mingle with the seed of men. They will not cleave to them. This happened. This is exactly where we are. Jesus warns us it'll be like the days of Noah. This is where we are. This is where we are. You can get the book, lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.com. Karin, I'll give you the last word. Thanks so much for coming on the record.
Well, thank you. It's always an honor to spend time with you,
My
LA,
honor.
and to share with others. And I just want to make sure people understand that, there are a lot of people out there talking about UFOs, UAPs, aliens. Please do your homework. Please make sure you understand the truth from a biblical perspective so that you are not deceived. There's a lot of deception out there. There are a lot of things out there that are dangerous, and that you may not understand the dangers that could lie in wait for you if you were out there messing with things like UFOs, aliens, and UAPs. So I just admonish you to please pray, do your homework, and be careful, and keep up with shows like LA's, where you're going to learn a lot of the really important information that you need to be safe.
Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. You can get that at lamarzulli.com. We have a special right now. Go to the website and check it out. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Remember, UFOs are very real, burgeoning, and not going away. Thanks for watching.
What happens if a mile-wide craft shows up above Washington? Who's behind it?
Well, at some level, the government, the military, and the intelligence community.
It is a threat, and it's going to soon become a global threat, and it's going to require a global response.
The UFO phenomenon has become the great off-putting.
We're going to get disclosure accidentally.
An interesting time to be alive. We live in a time where literally the government told us these UFOs are real, we don't know what they are.
The question then is, who are they in contact with? Are they truly extraterrestrial? Has mankind been visited by inhuman entities?
What are your closing thoughts in regard to disclosure?
Floodgates are open, and all bets are off right now.
They're definitely conditioning the masses for some kind of revealing of technology.
We're being visited by extraterrestrials.
If you look at the late night talk hosts, when they're talking to all the presidents, and they always bring up the question, are you going to tell us anything? If you look at their faces, they know something.
Folks, the phenomenon is not going away. We go up, they show up. We go up, they come down. To warn of what we believe is the coming great deception.